good night, or better say good late night. So this night was very evening and following night was that is not over actually, but it was very busy with art, much art and construction, symbolic construction. I mean, in this modest room, but still I walked pretty. With higher intensity than usual. So I decided not to update, not to like waste time with, to spend times on videos. But since I have like a feeling that this was actually an important evening and night, I think that it's, like a service to my subscribers, but also, in more so for future documentation for the sentient creatures that will actually watch these videos. It's important to actually describe even like shortly what has been done. So as you remember, after the last yesterday's trip in Tel Aviv, which caused many people to actually, as they say, to wide me, which means to initiate like the bicycle mechanism that allows them to infect me with diseases and steal the news for me. I kept in home. Of course, I didn't get out, but because I wanted to be that way, because I wanted, even though it's a great pain, it's an unbelievable torture, but for now I wanted to be that way in order to kind of to see what can be done with this horrible phenomenon. So several things were done. Initially I spent a good couple of hours in just preparing backgrounds, canvases and frames and colors and gesso, and and some of these backgrounds are still kind of empty and should be done. And most importantly, the two important ones that are still empty are this is a red one that is actually with oil, because as you remember, someone stole. I bought like a jar of a can of acrylic red, and on the day after that, someone stole it from my room. Burst into my room, and stole it when I wasn't there. One of the things that happens. So I created with this background with oil, and it's kind of still oily. And we have a big one, blue one, which is of earth, and this will be used. Probably right now. After I clean this room and clean myself a little bit. But because I spent so much time, with frames and backgrounds, so the Israelis, of course, like the intelligence cells and the intelligence services, they thought that it's like another proof that I got insane. That's their goal, that I will be insane. So they always try to figure, to watch me and to see, to find clues like how my behavior can be interpreted as the behavior of an insane person. Even though they're just monkeys, that try to understand humans, but they can't. Anyway, it was important to think about the old backgrounds and the background issue and to prepare it, because I understood that I will eventually want to create a series of painting one after the other, and that's actually the way it went. Pretty quickly, I would say. And in order to do it, the way that I like to do, that I prefer, with kind of on canvases again, with gesso, primer and all of this. You have to have, things should be done in advance. That's why so many hours presumably were spent. The Israeli didn't say why so many hours are spent. Which is just whatever they see, in their monitoring, camera is just a guy that is presumably insane because they always wanting to be insane and not for any other reason. Just painting this canvas with one color. They don't understand what's background and so. But actually it was important to, because when actually after night after night fell, after 8 or 9 p.m. Or 10 p.m. I started very relatively rapidly to create paintings, symbolic paintings. This is a hookah, new hookah that I bought in this trip. It's important for because it's used, that it's something with smoking that is related to a bicycle mechanism that I still don't understand, but I understand that when they do it, it's kind of operate the bicycle, and so when I do it, it's kind of it's combating their kind of smoke, which is harmful to me. I don't even understand exactly how it works. But there's some kind of symbolism here. But presumably, I mean, the more like smoke you inhale or exhale, I mean, like, you know, like you have more like credit in this kind of like a game of voodoo. And actually, I can inhale like huge amount because I have like a big, you know, like lungs. But I mean, these are almost my last charcoals actually, and I need to buy more. So I mean, it's not the maximum, but I mean, no more. The charcoals are almost done. Anyway, so I mean, after again a long time spent on backgrounds, so I actually, I mean, figure out what I actually want to do, and so after much deliberation, I decided that there are actually no more Titans in Israel, and it's not entirely correct. But I mean, for our oh shit, I missed a part. It's not entirely correct actually, because I mean I shaved like in the room, and then I kind of like created like, you know, corrections in the bedroom. I explained why in just a bit. It's also something symbolic. So I missed something apart. So okay, so it's not that bad like to stop the video for it. Anyway, you see I shaved like here. This is disgusting, but anyway. And here we see electrolysis chamber that I created like from salt water aquarium, which is very full of minerals and life forms, and a little bit of pee. So I decided to walk quickly. So I mean, I came to the conclusion that actually, I mean, the metals, I mean, like backgrounds are, I mean, even though, I mean, they can be important, I mean, and more important in the past, that actually now, I mean, there are no more. Like, I mean, like, it's not entirely correct. I will explain in a moment. But in general, I mean, I tend to accept the, you know, the story behind, you know that I presented like on the beach, like, you know, with the kind of, I mean, that they were punished, the Titans, but I mean, eventually were released from the punishment and died, like, and it probably happened during the 90s. So if you remember, I raised this theory, like, I mean, a couple of days ago on the beach, because it's relevant to the beach, because I had like hypothesis that I actually initiated it, but when I was still a child or a teenager, without understanding what's going on, and I explained why it's actually possible. I mean, but so just watch the video. Hopefully it's online. I'm not sure, but I mean, the idea is that some symbolic paintings. I mean, so it was that one, but I mean, but this is after, I mean, several changes, because this one actually. So I mean, the one that I prepared like a couple of days ago, though, was a reenactment. It was like, I mean, and I saw pretty quickly that this is a reenactment. And I recorded this video on the beach after, I mean, I created this thing, this painting. But I saw that this is a reenactment, and it's important because, I mean, it's kind of like it hints you like on things that happened in the past, but also on current condition, because I mean, by definition, this is how, like, I mean, you know, it's kind of the construction of, like, I mean, things that are relevant, like, I mean, when you are here or when you are not here, and like the target situation. So you can understand, think about the past. I mean, and I understand this is actually a recent past. Like, I mean, you know, like, I mean, recent is kind of, you know, relative. As I said, the last, like, you know, Titan brother that I had, like, died. I mean, most recently was like, I mean, the guy that fought like in the army of in the military of Richard Lionheart and died, like. So I mean, some would say that it's actually not that recent. So it's all relative. But I mean, I understood this is actually that, I mean, that this occurrence is kind of a relatively very late reenactment, like, I mean, compared to others, probably something from the 90s. And like 1990s, and I explained what actually happened, I think, in this video, and I think that actually, I mean, I hit the mark. Like, I mean, it's something like that actually happened. why is it not true that, but there are still Titans in Israel because, but I mean, most probably, I mean, they are, because the ones that died did not really die like in like humans, but they were kind of like, I mean, reborn, and the reborn ones are probably very young. I mean, I don't know, 20 something, I guess. I don't know exactly, but I mean, if it was in the 90s, it should be, and presumably they were born immediately. I don't know how it works, like with the, maybe the, like with the Dalai Lama, you know, that I mean, in you know, one, I mean, presumably like when he's dead, like I mean, another child is born immediately, or maybe not, maybe kind of not even needs to be born, but I mean, if he's already, sometimes I think that actually kind of like, I mean, transfer to like an already born, like very young child, but they need to search for him. I'm not expert on the matter, so maybe something like that. I don't know, but I mean, they should be 20 something, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, that's my assumption, and not presume, and not necessarily part of the intelligence community. I mean, probably they are without their knowledge, like they do to me, like, you know, they torture them without their knowledge. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, everything that they said regarding the Titans, I mean, probably, I mean, in the last video that I discussed it, I mean, probably happened during the 1990s. So we had several things that we've done. So I mean, it still should be done, but I mean, several things were done. First of all, there was also, I mean, during the day before and also the night, there was also the battle between me and the riders. Like, I mean, the riders tried to kind of like, you know, to get me insane, and you know, and infect me with diseases and cause me pain, and I combat them. So it was always like, I mean, during the evening and the night, but it actually was less horrible than it sound, because I'm kind of used to it. I mean, it's terrible, but I mean, when you're used to something, I mean, it's not that terrible, because I mean, you know, I mean, people, you know, humans, I mean, or, you know, not humans, I mean, cherubs, whatever, humanoids, I mean, they get used to a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, it's terrible, but I mean, it's not as terrible as it might sound, because I'm used to it. I mean, it's still, I mean, I was still able to create, like, I mean, a decent amount of like symbolic art. And I think this is also probably because I did not record videos, because sometimes, I mean, recording videos and like fighting this fight and doing the art stuff is kind of like, I mean, it's supposed to be too much. So I mean, I'm fine with, like, I mean, you know, not like updating with the same, like, you know, frequency to this channel, like during the last day and night. So so I came to the conclusion that, I mean, it's not like, I mean, just because of the symbolic painting. I mean, it's based on many conclusions that I had before, actually. But I mean, the symbolic painting also can be interpreted as a way to represent kind of this theory of reality, even though it was painted with different, like, I mean, like rationale. Like, I mean, this is kind of a divination, because it was painted in very, I mean, yes, it was painted, I mean, to them, I mean, to designate like the stargates, the Israeli portals. But I mean, mostly I had very different, like, understanding of, like, I mean, you know, the other, besides the portals themselves, I mean, there are also lots of like other kind of elements. And I had, when I painted it, I had like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I had completely different connotations. But I mean, many times it's like that. I paint something, and then, I mean, after just some days, I mean, a couple of days, I look at it and I learn other stuff. I mean, and it's not completely new stuff, because it was predicated, like, you know, things that I've already spoken about in the past. And I mean, mostly that, I mean, that the gates are, I mean, that currently the gates are closed, but they were open. I mean, there was kind of like a time in intermediary time, I mean, that includes my life. I mean, they were closed during my life, probably by myself. Maybe recently, maybe unknowingly, not recently. I mean, you know, like, as I said, it can be done not knowingly. But I mean, in the last 2 years, I do symbolic things like knowingly, and I always deal with the gates. Like, because, I mean, right from the start, the gate was the most important, like, I mean, topic of the symbolic art. I mean, just from the get-go. I mean, from 2 years ago, and it's documented a lot, like, you know, in my various like outlets. But I mean, but maybe I closed it. So maybe I just closed it, I mean, in the past 2 years, and maybe it was done before, like, unknowingly. But there was a time that it was actually open for quite some time, and this can also be understood from this painting, that what actually happened is that several things. First, there was the rewiring that I spoke about it a lot in this channel actually for the last 2 years. So you know the concept of rewiring. Instead of that you enter and exit from the same gate to the same gate. Like A in Earth leads to B in Venus, which leads to C in Earth, which leads to D in Venus, which leads to A in Earth. Like the round robin, as they say, in the communication protocols. But actually, what happened is that, unfortunately, the various nations that control the gates cooperated with each other, and this is very sad. But it's only explanation of how it can be still used, and it was still used. They were still used. And it should be said that there are many gates in Israel, but there are also abroad, and they probably cooperated all these people. And also there are other motives here that relate to the starships and and let's leave it for now. So first of all, I decided that we need to open the gates, because what happened is that after several hours or even a day that all these people around me, the red background, like Homo sapiens or hybrids around me, they become sick, because it's kind of when they smoke, they infect me with disease, but when I smoke, I infect them with disease. And when they smoke, they get news from me, and when I smoke, I get them news from them. But I smoke much more, because I have a kind of capacity. Even though there are 1,000, it's not like a real smoke. It's not that I can smoke 1,000 people, and that's what they are, 1,000 people. But it's kind of it's adjusted to the number of neurons in your body, so that's why it's much more. So they became sick, and so they started to set my life, all the usual stuff. But more importantly, I understood that, from their perspective, the only way to solve the problem is to actually go to Venus, to get neurons from there, because where can they get neurons besides, either from me, but I fight them, or Venus. So I decided to open the gates, and that's what I've done, last night. Maybe it was 8 or 9. So I quickly adjusted it. So it will. So I should just say that besides the rewiring, there were other kind of limitations that were actually presented in the symbolic language. In this, now it's less seen because it's after two kind of repaints. But another thing that it's only females or males without penises could cross the gate. But not in the other way. Wizard can cross. To here, like female that change to male. From Venus to here. And also that that is kind of So this was more foreshadowing than actually the situation is that I thought that everybody that passed the gates to Earth is infected with the kind of the bicycle bacteria. But this is probably not true, because they didn't even know about it until recently. But it was true after what I've done, because I opened it, but with the symbols of the everybody that goes through it. It removed the kind of the limitation of the penises. But yes, I placed this new thing that everyone that goes to Earth is infected with the bicycle bacteria. So they understood it, and they went very quickly to Venus. And it's very and most probably there is a gate very close to here. It's not just they placed me under arrest here, not just by chance. They Israel, I'm a prisoner of war. I'm all my life. They easily control where I live, and mostly they place me in places near the gates because. Several reasons. Not that I ever went through one of them, and it's not even in the agenda. But it's good from them, in order to defame me, and paint me in a very cruel way. And there are also other reasons, and they also hope that my proximity to the gate will open it, because sometimes it's closed and they don't understand why. I thought that it's true a long time, mostly because that's what they thought, and they kind of I received it from their reactions, but it's not true. I mean, not everything that they think is true. Many are not. I mean, what is true is that I can control the gate. I mean, whether I'm near it or not by this using the Simulacran language. So they all went there and very quickly returned with the bicycle bacteria infected with that. And then after not long ago time, I closed it, and now it's closed, as you see. And they're still riding me because, I mean, the riding mechanism is interplanetary. So when they're in Venus, I mean, if they started like this trip riding me, they're still riding, and when they're back, they're still riding. So they are now now back. Like, I mean, this is night. I mean, last night, and they are infected with the bicycle bacteria, but it's not that horrible because, I mean, it's just the fact that you have it in your body still doesn't mean much. I mean, it needs to multiply in order to be dangerous and other conditions. But I mean, they had much less diseases and much more neos, and that's why they actually crossed the gate. I mean, to get neos from whatever they get it from, like animals, or I don't know, they cannibalize on something. But I mean, presumably it's incredibly more easier to do it in Venus than Earth. So I decided that now it's time to so I'm a little bit tired that, I mean, to work on the electrolysis kind of, I mean, on like something that was already, I mean, based on painting that I had like prepared during the last couple of days, but I mean, a little bit of change. And this is the two, I mean, paintings that you see, the red ones. So they symbolize, I mean, the increase in size and quantity of both neros and the bicycle bacteria in the bodies of almost red creatures like Homo sapienses. So why it's important? So the bicycle bacteria, it's important to get it larger because, I mean, if they are all just infected with that, I mean, it might take time until it's multiplied. So we wanted to multiply, so they will start like affecting their life. And neros, I mean, you want more. This is maybe unintuitive, but I mean, because the more they have in their body, I mean, the more the neros can actually walk and like create like more life forms. Like, I mean, so I mean, if I delete all the neros, maybe it's helpful from the purpose, from the point of view of like the fight that I have with them, like with the riders. But it's not. It's counterproductive, like for the creation of new, like to increase the size and quantity of the bicycle bacteria. So I created these two paintings, red oil paintings. And I also created like a pretty big, Earth. This was done very hastily, and I think it's, I mean, given circumstances, it was done like pretty good, like the blue one. I mean, it was done like in minutes. I mean, very, very quickly, and it's oil, it's kind of like, I mean, oil on canvas, but I mean, I did it very quickly. So the idea is like, I mean, that this is both like, I mean, like is a mirror to that one. I mean, it doesn't symbolize the same thing, but it deals with gates. But also it symbolizes the arrival of this huge starship that look like animals to Earth. And I think it's nice actually, I mean, because it's kind of like, I mean, nice colors, I think, I mean. Now we also create, I mean, I've actually done like electrolysis with, as I said, salt water and all sorts of materials from like, from the various containers. And I prepared like the golden one you see on top, which symbolizes the breaking of the chain, like breaking of the riding chain, specifically with the yellow ones. Like, I mean, the people will not be able to ride them, and I mean, so people will stop riding them, like, and they will stop. Like, I mean, it's symmetrical. I mean, and it's not always. I mean, for now, I think it's important. Of course, I mean, in the future it will change because it's part of sexual relationship between like females and males, and it's got all sorts of like, I mean, reasons for it. So what we have left actually, I mean, two things. I mean, so as I said, the red background, another red background, and another blue background. So the red background will be, I mean, effects on humans, but in general way, not just the ones that have neurons in their body, like punishments to all humankind. And we need to think about like what we actually want to do, because I mean, it will have a tremendous effect. So I mean, maybe like limit like a number of words that a person can say, I mean, in his life. I don't know if it's possible. But I mean, it's kind of a Hasidic thought. I mean, that every person has like, I mean, like quantity of words that he can say during his life, and if he or she spends all of it, I mean, they cannot speak no more. I wish it was true for the Israelis. So this is one issue. like what we actually will be the punishment on the body of humans, all of them, not only the ones that hated neurons, because all are guilty of my torture and my humiliation. I mean, the torture of my daughters. And another important background is the blue one, which signifies things that happen on Earth. For example, in the past, that's where maybe if you want, to delete the processed uranium or processed plutonium, this will be the place, because you want to do this processed material like in Earth. But I think that also, during the past, we had enough instructions with regards to radioactive material. So I'm not too keen on get back to it. But we can think about all sorts of things that can be useful to remove, aircraft carriers or fighter jets, guns, things like that. If you have something, you can, an idea, please, suggest, because I understand whatever I do with laser intelligence, whatever fight I have with them, no result will make people, care about me. People, I will stop thinking, of how make people care about me, and still think, what actually can be done on Earth to improve the situation, what can be removed. Or, I don't know, maybe not removed, added, I don't know, less horrible, but maybe. So I need to think about that, and of course put the thoughts into the kind of the blue one. And so hopefully we'll do it today or maximum tomorrow.